Thank you guys so much for being here. This is a very exciting and special occasion for you all, the students, and of course for family. And just so you know, for those of you who don't know, I'm the proud principal of Marion Seymour. In a very short time that I have been blessed to take over in this position, there have been amazing things happening, but I don't know that as amazing as what we're getting ready to experience today. So I want to just take a moment and just thank our guests that are on the stage. We have representatives from our Board of Education. We have from WHAS 11, from LG&E, KU, and then we also have our JCTA reps with us today that are going to give some information about Mr. McIntosh and provide some gifts for him. And I hope students, first and foremost, I hope that this is an inspiring opportunity for you all, and that I hope that you realize how very blessed you are to have someone like Mr. McIntosh as your teacher and in your life. So I'm going to turn it over now to Ms. Minogue from WHAS 11.
How are you all doing today? We are here today to talk about Mr. McIntosh. So I'm guessing all of you all have him as a teacher, correct? Teacher, coach, something like that. He's made an impact on all of your lives in some way, right? Perfect. Okay, so I obviously don't know the guy at all. We met like 30 minutes ago. But it very quickly became clear to me how much he cares about every single one of you. And the way in which he cares about you all, when we were talking about it, he made it very clear that he wants to make an environment where you can fail. How many people feel like they've failed either in his classroom or this week or in some way, shape, or form have failed? Anyone? Yeah, cool. It is so special to be able to fail and to feel like that failure is okay. It takes a long time to get to that point. I have this analogy that I talk about with a lot of people where in life you are constantly juggling like 50 or 60 different balls, right? And some of those balls are plastic and some of those balls are glass. And you have to be able to determine which ones are which. So like forgetting to do your laundry, that's a plastic ball. If you drop it, it's not the end of the world. Now, missing an important event, in one of your parents' lives or, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of things that are glass balls, and when you drop them, they really make a big impact. But from the sounds of it, Mr. McIntosh has been able to teach you all the difference between dropping those things, which one of those can drop, and it'll be okay, and you just have to recover from it. And that's really special. I didn't have any teachers like that were like, you know what, fail. It's okay, we'll learn from it, we'll get better. And I didn't have a lot of teachers either that worked in the classroom the way that he does with the simplification of things. All my teachers were like, well, this is the word that they're going to use in college, so this is the one that you need to learn. But it sounds like, from my limited experience, that everything that you all are doing in that classroom is to set you up for successful futures. And that's really important. It's amazing to have a teacher like that. So you guys are very lucky, okay? Very lucky. So, without further ado, I'm going to present this award. Come on. Okay. So, on behalf of WHAS 11 and LG&E and KU, I want to go ahead and present this ExCEL Award. So congratulations to Mr. McIntosh. You're an ExCEL Award recipient. Really happy. Thank you. Congratulations.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to be here today and to be a part of this celebration to recognize Mr. McIntosh. President Theodore Roosevelt had a saying that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And this saying came to mind after reading Mr. McIntosh's nomination letters because overwhelmingly he is described as dedicated, passionate, and energetic with a devout commitment to his students and their achievements. And quite simply, and I'm going to ask you guys, just like Hayley did, to raise your hand, how many of you know how much he cares? That says it all. That says it all right there. So, and what I loved is one nominator said, he eats, breathes, sleeps, and lives education. And I think that says it all right there. So from our perspectives at LG&E and KU, we also want to help empower you guys, you students sitting here today, to embrace learning at an early age and everything that you're learning here at Moore, and to pursue your dreams, because we know each of you will be our community's future leaders. And that is such an admirable quality for what you're learning here from Mr. McIntosh and from your teachers here at Moore, what you can carry on into your future. And so I just want to say, Mr. McIntosh, we are so very grateful for your positive impacts that you're making within your community, with your students, and your commitment to teaching. And so I'm going to ask you to step forward again. So what Hayley mentioned, I'm happy to present you today with a check for $1,000 to be used here with your students at Moore.
I'm honored to be here today, excited. Always love being here at Moore. Come here often, and especially to celebrate a great teacher like Mr. McIntosh. And reading a little bit about Mr. McIntosh and getting to know him in the few minutes before I got here, what an incredible teacher. So many incredible things that he does, from being a major in the Army Reserves to being a 6-time Ironman competitor and completer. That alone is itself unbelievable. Raising money for Wounded Warrior Project, clearly a great husband and a great father to wonderful student at Stouffer Elementary, right? So that's fantastic. And a great teacher, and then contributing to the school as well, obviously, as being a basketball coach and many other things. We have any of his players here? All right, does he make you guys run at all? He does? He makes you run? What's he make you do, like run sprints? Well, you're not supposed to call them that anymore, but sprints, and I think we call them line drills now, but run sprints. He make you guard, defensive drills? Good, excellent. Glad to hear that. So it reminds me of my old days back when I used to teach and coach a lot of years ago. So just excited to recognize a great teacher, a great coach, a great educator, and someone who contributes back to the entire school community. We are so lucky to have him as a teacher. I know he has high expectations for students and holds you guys, make sure that you do the right thing, and that is so important in a teacher, but is also passionate about what he does, passionate about the content, and most importantly, passionate about making sure that you all are successful. And here's what some of his colleagues said about Mr. McIntosh. Shaun is passionate about being a teacher and influencing students. He has encouraged students to challenge themselves, and they embrace this productive struggle. If you asked anyone at Moore, student or staff, to describe Mr. McIntosh in 3 words, there would be some variation of dedicated, passionate, and energetic. He is high energy all day, every day. Well, that says a lot about somebody right there. High energy all day, every day. So you all need to make sure that you follow that lead, right? Passionate, high energy all day, every day. He engages students with develop foundational relationships with them. You can find him before or after school engaging in conversations. And finally, I found this one interesting. You all have to tell me if this is true. Mr. McIntosh is tough on his kids. He has incredibly high expectations and holds them accountable when they don't meet them. He also celebrates them when they do, and that's why so many of his students both respect and love him. Is that true? Yes. All right, that's awesome, right? How awesome is that? So he also is the 9th grade science lead for PLCs, and as I said, coaches freshman basketball at Moore, assistant on the varsity team, chair of the aviation club, and a member of the racial equity team here at Moore. So he contributes a lot to this school community. And so having said all of that stuff, it is definitely my honor to congratulate you, Mr. McIntosh, on winning the WHAS 11 ExCEL Award. And for your commitment to your students, I am honored to present to you the Superintendent's Medallion. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here as we honor Mr. McIntosh for his wonderful leadership and service here at one of my absolute favorite schools, Marion Seymour High School. I had the pleasure of coming to a basketball game a couple of weeks back to watch Moore play one of the schools up the street. I can't remember his name, and I will not say it here, but y'all did the thing. Y'all are incredible, and took me back to my high school days. We're very thankful for Mr. McIntosh, and on behalf of the board, I would like to say that it is because of people like Mr. McIntosh that makes JCPS such a special place. Because of his dedication, because of his perseverance, because of his commitment, we can ensure that we have one of the most incredible learning environments anywhere in the nation. And as a consequence, I am here to present this plaque on behalf of the Jefferson County Board of Education, Shaun McIntosh, teacher, Marion Seymour School. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. Oh, there you go. Fill that space. Excellent, excellent. I'm all about quantity and quality. My name is Dawn Moretz, and I'm here. Actually, I kind of begged to get to come to these types of events. I actually am not the JCTA UniServe director for this school, but we help each other out whenever needed. And so it's my pleasure to be representing the Jefferson County Teachers Association on behalf of not only my colleague, Shanda Hornback, who does represent the teachers at this school, but also our JCTA President, Brent McKim, and our JCTA Executive Director, Deanne Flaherty. We believe in the importance of union values, and we believe in the importance of supporting the teachers who belong to our professional organization. And it is with great pleasure and great pride that we are adding on to the treasure trove of goodies that you are receiving today. And so, with that, I am presenting the Jefferson County Teachers Association Schoolhouse Award, presented to Shaun McIntosh, an appreciation for your supportive actions regarding education and teachers, signed by both JCTA President Brent McKim, Deanne Flaherty, Executive Director, and handed off by little old me, Dawn Moretz.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Alexander, the Freshman Academy Principal here at Marion Seymour. First, I'd like to start by thanking you all for coming out to support Mr. McIntosh here, 2020 recipient of the ExCEL Award. I first met Mr. McIntosh 8 years ago when we started working at Bullet Lick Middle School. He's done a lot of growth in those 8 years. There's a few things that have remained the same and a few things that have changed. I want to start with a few things that have changed here with Mr. McIntosh. Today, he can show up to work bright and early after a hard day's work, teaching kids, raising kids at home, and running Ironman races, but still somehow manage to stay as awake the entire day. 8 years ago, this was not the case. This is a funny story. On more than one occasion, I'd walk into Bullet Lick Middle School about 4 in the morning to either Mr. McIntosh setting off the alarm because he didn't know there was an alarm, and it'd be going off for about an hour and a half. I'd walk in the room to figure out why the alarm's been going off for an hour and a half, to find feet sticking out from underneath his desk, to where he was taking himself a nice little cat nap from sleeping underneath his desk and getting there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so a lot's changed since then. But all kidding aside, I think this segues perfectly into some attributes that have remained consistent with Mr. McIntosh throughout his multiple careers and why he was probably so exhausted those few mornings at Bullet Lick Middle School. His unbridled passion and devotion to the task he takes on that requires immense energy, of which his espresso has never failed him. It is the drive that allows students that Mr. McIntosh has had to find a love of science that they had not had prior to joining his community in the classroom. Mr. McIntosh's innovation, content, knowledge, and communication has aided in the growth of all of his PLC members over the years, both in Bullitt County, Oldham County, and Jefferson County. And lastly, Mr. McIntosh's leadership has been an exemplary model for countless students and colleagues to strive for. His enthusiasm is contagious, and every community he is part of is better for having him serve it. So thank you, Mr. McIntosh, and on behalf of Marion Seymour School and Ms. Morris, we would like to present you with 2 books from the Rudy Kifele on leadership.
So, yes, I love your faces. This is easy because I was super nervous. I'm not looking at you all or you all. I'm just going to look at them because it makes it so much better. I'm just going to give some recognition of appreciations and thanks, and then give a quick message on the word belief. And so first of all, I'm going to start with some special guests. WHAS, LG&E, thank you so much for this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity and a positive spotlight on our public schools and what's going on in our public schools, and we appreciate those partnerships, and they mean a lot. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Pollio, board members, JCTA, for being here. Dr. Pollio, your leadership is already being felt inside the classroom, and so that is a testament to your effectiveness, and so thank you very much. I want to say thanks to Ms. Morris. I don't like public recognition. I'm not very good at it, and she's been pumping me up for the last week, so I hope I don't fail you here. But her heart is so in the right place for this job, and so she's already being an effective supporter for me as an educator, so thank you very much. I've got Dr. Bucher here. I wanted to say special thanks for you and thanks for coming out. And hopefully, and I'm going to say what I'm thankful to her about. She was my my professor at U of L as I was going through my rank 1. And I learned a lot from her, but the one thing I remember the most was how many times she told me I was awesome. And after a certain amount of times, you start believing it. And so if I tell you you're awesome a lot, it's because it works. And so thank you so much, because that meant a lot to me. Mr. Alexander, thank you for letting me have crazy ideas. I've worked with him for over 8 years. I normally show up in his office with crazy ideas, and instead of shooing me away, he's always there to listen and to help me mold those into what ends up coming into the classroom as some of the products that we do. So thank you. All right. So I also want to thank Miss Bryan, and I'm so glad she's here right now. She's my PLC partner, and I have just a couple of things to say, and then I'll be quick. She is the best, and I've made it big. PLC teacher partner I could ask for. Thank you for supporting my wild ideas. Like such, Starbucks in my room. And you all haven't got to get this yet, but my first year, we had a student-ran Starbucks in my room because I wanted my room to feel like folks going to Starbucks working. I just thought that was a great idea, and so we made it happen. Students launching rockets 300 feet. You wait, yours will get higher this year. Students using expo markers all around the school on all the windows we can find to solve physics problems. Those were ideas that instead of her saying, oh, we shouldn't do that, she's like, cool, how are we going to make it happen? And she made it better. Right now in our classroom today, what we've done in our classroom today was a product of me and you working together. And so thank you for meeting me here on Sundays to help me make posters, because she's seen my handwriting just like you all have seen it, and she's made my classroom better. Thank you for caring for the students as much as I do, and you deserve a part of this award as well. And I believe that. Thank you for Marion Seymour support staff. You all are the true staples here. And you all are always so positive, and that means a lot to me because I like to be around positivity. I typically stay away from negativity because I guess that's my personality. That's why I'm always around you all. And you're so positive, and I can bring that in my classroom, and you're very helpful, and you do your job probably better than anybody in JCPS. Couldn't imagine somebody doing it better. And so true staples here, and those, so I appreciate it. And lastly, with the thank you, I'd just like to say thanks to my family, Kimberly, and my daughter, Lily. And I'm going to get to you here in a second, but I also want to thank my in-laws here, because a lot of times they'll ask me how my job is going, and I've got Dave and Kathy here, and then they have to wait for 2 hours till I'm done talking about education and what I think about education. And so I just appreciate you supporting my passion. My daughter, I told her last night, I was like, hey, do you want to come? And she probably showed me more excitement than anybody in the world to come and celebrate me as a teacher, and that means a lot to me, and so that's a huge support. And so just a couple of things, my first year teaching, we made little activities at night, and they helped me cut them up just so for me to not use them the next day or ever. And so those were kind of the supports I needed, trying to figure out how to do this. job. And I couldn't do what I do without you all, my home base. And I love you and thank you. A quick message on belief. 4 things. Belief inspires vision, which creates action and is displayed evidence of that, which displays evidence of that belief. And I have a belief that all students can be successful, and success may look different for each student, but my job is to prepare you with the skills for the workforce and global community. So let's break that down real quick. Belief creates vision. My vision. My vision is a classroom where students are practicing the skills of being successful in the workforce and the global community. There's 4 things there. Failure. I provide opportunities to failure because right now you're developing grit. Caring for others. As freshmen, I've had to teach you this, and you are practicing it, and you even practiced it today, and you did well with that. We already had some apologies to each other in my classroom today, and that means a lot to me, and so thank you for that. Habits. The only way you're going to be able to develop great habits is if I have high expectations and I hold you accountable to them and I'm consistent with it. So you're going to fail with those expectations, but as long as you keep striving for them, you're going to start developing those habits a lot quicker. And then understanding over knowing. I love to ask you questions, don't I? Matter of fact, my students will never get an answer from me. They always get questions. They come up to me with a question, and then I will start to question them. But they always walk away with the ability to solve for it, because I want you to have an understanding instead of just knowing some factoids. So that vision that I've had has created some action, and that action's been in our PLC work and the wraparound service that I support. So have given the students when they've needed those students, when they failed with the expectations. We want to get them back in there so they can continue to work towards those skills. So let's talk about the evidence real quick, and I'm about to turn the spotlight on you all, students. I need to brag about what they're doing right now in my classroom. WHAS was just in there. Right now, they're currently working for NASA, and they're developing a Mars human transport carrier. We're going to drop this carrier from into Mars through the atmosphere, and they're solving for the force using physics on this Mars human transport carrier. They can tell you everything about it. They can tell you how to do the math on it, and they can tell you about the engineering design process that's going on to do that. In my classroom, you will see grit. They are failing, and they're doing better, and they say, oh, okay, and they fix it. So they have grit. You will see them helping each other. My students aren't engaged because of me. It's because you all are holding each other accountable now. So thank you for having 100% engagement in my classroom because of you. And they are developing habits to stay on task while having fun, which adults even struggle with that. Lastly, they can competently walk you through, well, I've already said that, but they have a deep understanding. So we're talking about deeper learning. They have a deep understanding of what they're doing. So I want to say thank you, students. Thank you for providing myself and the world the evidence that all students can be successful and positively impacting the global community, because you're doing that right now. And if you all don't mind, they deserve a quick round of applause, please. In conclusion, they told me this was supposed to be 5 to 7 minutes, but they forgot who they were talking to, so I do have in conclusion.
You should have said like 3 to 5, and then it
In conclusion, thank you all for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. This award means so much to me. It really does. And I wish I could truly cut it up into many, many pieces and give to each one of you all. Each one of you all. And the reason why is because it really takes a village. It takes a village with a belief to support what we do here. And so we all deserve some of this. And so I'm going to continue a pursuit of excellence in our schools. But I'm also, and as I was sitting here and I was getting all these gifts, I took my pencil out and I wrote a little note to myself, and it said, stay humble. And so now I've got to make sure that I stay humble. And so that's a little lesson I hope I tell you that I've got to do too. I've got to sit down and continue the pursuit and stay humble. And so lastly, thank you.